Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of ZooCrafting! It's been a while, hasn't it? I've been streaming a lot, but not so much recording. But today is the day when I show you what we've been streaming all about, the finished product. If you see over there, there's a hint of it. It's not entirely loaded in. So let's go ahead and take the boat over. So just for reference, we are in the section for the Research and Rescue Center. Looking at the map, the dolphin area is right over here. And coincidentally, the lighthouse and my house are over here. So we're going to head just over here to see what we've been up to. And you might get a hint of it under the water over there, but we're not going to look at that for now. We're going to start off here. So, on the stream, we have been working on an underwater research base. Whoa, I jumped off the boat really early. It's an underwater research base modeled after a real-life one in Florida, off the coast of the Florida Keys. And it's called Aquarius. And I'm not entirely sure what we're going to name this one yet. Somebody had an excellent suggestion that was not Aquarius. But that's what I've modeled this one after. So up here, what we're standing on is the life support buoy. So in real life, this would have some generators for power and some air compressors to send air down. And it would be connected by a cable, but since it's Minecraft and this is water, and water doesn't behave nicely with the fencing pieces, we're going to pretend the cable's there until I can put one in, maybe at some point later. And eventually, where we left off the coast over there, we will have a little building that has some operations management to, send boats out to the buoy and down. So like maybe include some snorkel gear and things like that to get down to the research center. So, how do you get into this underwater research lab, you wonder? Well, you have to swim. So we're going to go ahead and take a dive. I don't even know where that boat went. Oh, it's over there. So we're going to take a dive, and this is it. It looked a little bit more glorious above water. But yeah, this is the underwater research base. And I think it looks pretty majestic. So if you notice, there are no doors because the only way to get in is actually underneath the research base. So under here, there is something that's called a moon pool. So you just kind of swim up and climb up there, and there you go. So you can enter and exit the research base through this little pool. And it's actually, in real life, it would do this too. If you lower the research base down into the water in the upright position, the air bubble will actually push down the water to where it stays underneath right here, and it doesn't flood the chamber. So that's all to do with pressure, sciencey stuff. So here is the wet room. I don't really have anything in here at the moment because there's not much space. But here is where you'd get off all of your dive gear and get to dry. And then we can enter. So this is a solid door, and that's because, well, I guess I'll get into that in a little bit. So you enter in, and this is the main chamber of the habitat, the Underwater Research Center. And those doors get me very excited. They make such a cool sound, and it makes me quite happy. So here we have the galley, or the kitchen. Fire underwater, like in space, is not a very nice thing to have. So to heat up our food, we just have water and we have a microwave. So essentially, people who are in an underwater research center like this, who can't really get food delivered to their door, have to eat rehydrated food. So essentially astronaut food, the kind of stuff that they send up into space, is what they send down underwater to feed the people that are staying here. So we have our convenient little microwave, which I've never used. We have a little cabinet, and we have the sink, the all-important sink. Over here we have a computer to communicate with the land-based operations, which are not up and running yet, but that's okay. On this bench will be the science bench because, of course, this is an underwater research laboratory. I haven't quite decided what to put here yet. A lot of the pieces are kind of huge, admittedly, and there's not that much space. So we'll look into that. What kind of things does one need when conducting underwater research? Let me know if you guys have any ideas. I made these stools. You can't really sit on them, but they're pretty. They're keeping with the color theme. And over here is our little eating area and workstation. So you can eat your rehydrated meals here, and you can also work on the research that you're conducting with a nice, lovely view out the window, if I do say so myself. And then we have some more storage. You always need a crafting station, all of that fun stuff. And then in here is the sleeping quarters, because if you're in this underwater research laboratory, the whole point is that you can stay down underwater for a very long time. So you need somewhere to sleep. And this is it. Ideally, I would have more than 2 beds in here, but I couldn't figure out how to stack the beds without making this super outrageously tall. So if you guys have any ideas, again, let me know. But I think this is pretty good for now. I don't know that we'll have that many researchers down here at a single time. And I still need to bring down some NPCs, maybe just 1, keeping the habitat running at all times. And then, you know, when you wake up from your slumber, whoa, why am I, leave. When you're sleeping, you have a wonderful view out the porthole as well, which is quite fantastic. And I love the sound that these doors make. So yeah, this is the underwater research laboratory. It's very exciting. It's kind of sparse at the moment, but you know, if you would like to see how I built this, there's several hours of stream footage available on the channel. About how we built it, because we actually built it above ground and then moved it underwater. We had to build a giant encasing and all that fun stuff. It was very involved. But yeah, I finished it off camera, so if you see some changes and things like that, if you did watch the streams, that's why. It increased in size a smidge, even though it doesn't really feel like it and all that stuff. That most of this building is entirely out of divinsing pieces, which took forever to build. But it was fun. It was fun. If you guys would like to join me for other streams, I will leave the link down below, and I usually announce it beforehand. I don't know what we're building next, but back to the research laboratory. This is going a mile a minute, guys. It's been a while since I've recorded. So, you might be wondering, what is the point in having a lab underwater when you can just swim back up to the surface and go back to land if it's so close? Oh, I am missing the mask. That's important. I can't hold my breath for long. So what is the point in having an underwater building to stay in, sleep in, work, eat, all of that fun stuff, when you could just go back to shore or do stuff on a boat? I mean, those options are pretty useful. It just depends on what you need to do. So, in real life, this research lab is designed to allow scientists to live underwater for extended periods. This is roughly, well, I don't know about here, but in real life, the Aquarius off the coast of Florida is about 15 to 20 meters deep, and at that depth, which is about 60 feet, 50 to 60 feet in feet measurement, at that depth, you can't stay down longer than about an hour without risking getting severely sick. It's dangerous, and I'm not going to get directly into why. It's a lot of like scuba dive theory and things like that, a lot of to do with physics and stuff like that, and if you're interested, you can ask me questions about it in the comments. But yeah, you can't stay down for very long without getting ill. And once you go back up to the surface, you have to stay at the surface for a while before you can come back down. So there's a lot of time constraints with underwater research, but by having something like this down at 15, 20 meters, you can set the pressure, the air pressure inside the cabin to the same as the depth of the water that you're in. So up at the surface, at sea level, the air pressure on you is about 1 atmosphere. And underwater, the pressure then increases by 1 atmosphere every 10 meters. So at 60 feet, 15 to 20 meters, you're at about 2.5 to 3 atmospheres of pressure on you. And that affects your body. But if the cabin is at the same pressure as the outside water, so say it's at 2.5 to 3 atmospheres, if you match that pressure inside the cabin, then you can stay down for a very long time. You don't have to worry about changing the pressure around you at any point in time until you're ready to go back up. So that's why this one's sealed, because we can change the pressure of the cabin inside. So it's a little bit of fun science, and I didn't really get into why. And we can spend some time talking about dive theory and, you know, all the pressures of gases in your blood and all that fun stuff at some other point if you guys would like. But yeah, so just having something down under the water to extend the period that you can spend at that depth is extremely useful. And I think the record for someone staying in Aquarius is 31 days. I'm not entirely sure. And I think that was very recently as well. Most people spend about 1 to 2 weeks down here. NASA also runs missions on Aquarius in Florida, and their missions can vary in length, but I think it's somewhere between a week and 15 days at a time. And fun fact, at the depth that we are, to come back up after, you know, scientists or NASA people have stayed down here for a week or anything longer than, you know, 60 minutes, they have to raise the pressure of this inside cabin. So they close the door and raise the, decrease actually the pressure inside the cabin back up to the surface pressure, so 1 atmosphere. And that takes nearly 16 hours to do. So you're stuck inside this room for 16 hours. So, you know, that's why they have it at least a week long. It usually doesn't make any sense just to be down for a day unless you just have the pressure of the cabin at something not equal to the water depth. But yeah, this is the Underwater Research Center. I can't wait to have some researchers in here with some research equipment, set up some science, you know, maybe go on some expeditions to look at the coral habitats and algae habitats around this wonderful place. So, the other question that I wanted to ask is somebody, I forget your name, I'm so sorry, suggested a different name for our underwater research laboratory. I was thinking of just calling it Aquarius because it's what it's nearly directly modeled after, but someone suggested the Nereus, a cross between my name, Nerine, and Aquarius, and I thought that was really cool. So I'm going to have a straw poll. The link will be in the description. So let me know what you guys think, if it should be called the Nereus or Aquarius. But yeah, and so since the entire building is out of defensing blocks, the water is just flowing down the outside, which kind of bothers me. We might have to do some renovations at some point, but we'll see. I quite like how it turned out. The water on the server gives you some constraints with building underwater. So, given what we had to work with, I don't think it turned out too terrible. So we're going to go back up to the life support buoy, look for the boat again, which I think is over there, which is a little far. And it's raining. It's always raining here. But yeah. So I think that is it. I just wanted to give you guys a quick tour. And again, over there we will have a land-based operations center for this underwater research lab. You know, once we get the research and rescue center area a little bit more fixed up and all of that. So that is the work in progress. Whoa, hello. Where's the ground? There's the ground. Okay. But yeah. So this is a little quick episode, but I wanted to give you guys an update. After the hours and hours of streaming this build, it is nearly done as far as projects can be done on ZooCrafting, because you're never done. It's never done, guys. You can always, always improve on things and make some changes and small things and all of that. But I think that is it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. I'm so excited about this underwater research lab. Bye!